Welcome back to the beginning. This is how many? Raise your hand if you were here for the first Web 2.0 six years ago. Thank you, alumni.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is a more intimate setting, a little more cramped, a little more crowded. We like it that way, but we felt like it was appropriate for the time. You know, we wanted to go back to the beginning. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you to the sponsors. Just to give you some perspective, so where we were a year ago when we did this. A year ago, the Dow closed at 9265 today, a year ago. And it's above 10,000 today. And the NASDAQ was at 1770 a year ago today, and it's close to 2,200 today. So wasn't that a great year?
Well, I will have to say that the stock market isn't really the measure. The
No,
measure
I
is
was
are we out there
kidding around,
making big things happen? I think we are in the industry.
So it's interesting to note one of the things that I saw recently. Dow Jones did its annual quarterly venture capital roundup, and something shifted in Q3 of this year. The amount of investment in what Dow Jones now calls Web 2 or web services investments has increased to an extent where it is eclipsed IT investment. In other words, something's happened with our industry where we're now bigger in terms of investment than traditional software and IT.
I guess that means that Web 2.0 is now the new traditional IT.
Yeah, now we're the new traditional. That's right. That's right.
So a bit of a risk implicit in that statement.
There is, indeed. So I'm going to let Tim explain sort of how we came to the theme this year of Web Squared.
Yeah, I guess I just want to share my technological enthusiasm. We are at the most exciting time since we first got all hot and bothered about Web 2.0. And what is it now? Let's say it's the 6th summit, but it's 5 years ago.
Right.
Back then we were struggling to understand why it was that some companies had survived the dot-com bust, others had gone belly up. We think we put the finger on some of those key principles, and that's really helped to guide the industry. Well, I think we're at another of those transition times. We've been through a period of winnowing. The economy is once again not helpful to startups, but there's also this amazing sense of opportunity and technological change. These are opportunities that some companies are clearly seizing. Others are still struggling to understand. So John and I call this Web Squared, which was really kind of a play on the idea that we started with last year, which was Web meets World. We added an extra W, so let's call it Web Squared. And this is the idea that we're starting to instrument the world. Venture capitalist Fred Wilson calls it the golden triangle of mobile, social, and real time. And you guys obviously know companies like Twitter that are clearly in the middle of that space, but you also sense that enormous sense of ferment. It's so great that, of course, people are once again saying, hey, isn't it time to start calling it Web 3.0? And, for the first time, I'm not saying, oh, come on, it wasn't a version number anyway, it was just, the second coming. Well, we may be on to the third coming. I was talking last night with Mark Pincus, who's on later this afternoon, and he was really talking about this idea that we're starting to see what may be the beginning of the next great wave of internet business models. And that's a really exciting time for all of us to be here. I think the revolution that we are seeing now is as great as the one that brought us together 5 years ago. And that's what we're here to explore over the next 3 days.
So, besides the idea that we could take the two and just put it up, it's kind of the we've got a few housekeeping things to take care of. With this new venue, we've changed things up a bit. We have some sponsored event lounges. We want to thank our sponsors who once again made this event possible with as much support this year as we had last year, which is extraordinary when you think about the year we just had. So SAP, Juniper, Microsoft, and Nokia all have lounges. SAP's lounge is only open tomorrow, and the other three are open throughout the event. They're upstairs. So if you can't find a seat, they're simulcasting up there, and you can watch in a more comfortable setting up there, have a drink. Full details on the lounge are found on the site. But I want to get into the program. We're very proud of this program. We've got extremely large companies, Fortune 50 or Fortune 10 companies in some cases, and we have very, very tiny, who knows whether or not they're going to make it companies, and everything sort of in between. It's going to be a lot of fun. Today we're bookending with two men who both have been in the news recently, Brian Roberts of Comcast and Jeff Immelt of GE. We'll talk a bit about that potential.
Just let me point out, GE being here is so symbolic of this web squared idea. The fact that this internet technology is no longer just a consumer internet phenomenon, it's really touching the industrial heartland as we're starting to instrument the world with internet technologies.
Exactly, and instrument the grid.
Yeah.
In the middle, Ev will join us, Ev Williams. We actually have a fun little surprise that has been unannounced that's going to happen when Ev gets here. And actually, we have sort of news throughout the whole event. I counted 8 or 9 bits of news that are going to break throughout the next few days, so watch for that. Tomorrow, we've got Chi Lu, Anish Chopra, Sheryl Sandberg, discussions on journalism and content, mobile sensors, humans as sensors, energy, and a special surprise at the end. And Thursday with the CEO of Intel, of Adobe, AOL. We have Austin Goolsbee joining us. Tim's going to interview from the U.S. government in the Council of Economic Advisors.
Here's the irony. You know, the old joke was, I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help you. And the new game in town seems to be, I'm here from the government, and I need you to help me. And that's actually a wonderful opportunity for Silicon Valley to bring our expertise to bear on the nation's problems and the world's problems. And there's a huge amount of ferment in that space. And I'd love to encourage all of you to see what you can offer in that regard.
And then we're ending it with Tim Berners-Lee, the man who's started it, really. And that's going to be, I think, a really great conversation to hear both what he's excited about and what he's concerned about as we look towards what the web has become and is becoming.